Michigan is known as the water wonderland, with millions of people visiting the state's waterways each summer. Now, whether it's an inland lake or a great one, we spoke to the experts on how you can stay safe while still having your summer fun out on the water. We start with inland water safety. With around 1,100 lakes in the state and more than 3,000 miles of water trails, there's more than one way to have fun in the water without even touching a Great Lake. Now, one of the ways we're told you can be safe while in the water is changing the way you get into it. Nate Ellenboss says he never had that much fun diving where the risks were worth it. He's urging people to go feet first into the water this summer after a diving accident left him paralyzed.
You never think it's going to happen to you until it does.
In 2023, Ellenboss was swimming in a lake up north, waters he's been in all of his life, when a dive into the lake turned into the unexpected.
You can sink or swim, and so, there's no undo buttons, so I just do what you can, keep going.
He broke his arm, shoulder, and seriously injured his spine, ultimately ending up at Mary Free Bed for rehab, working with spinal cord care tech Troy Blystra and a team to help him get back to what he loves to do.
When you're up and you're going to dive in the water, how do you know how deep it is?
He says they see an increase in spinal cord injuries when the weather gets warmer and more people are diving into the water without being aware of what's at the bottom.
It's just an accident, just one thing, one little thought will change your whole world and your family's world and your life the rest of your life.
While experts recommend 9 to 12 feet minimum to dive.
And if we just say feet first, that might help somebody. Just if you jump in feet first, you're going to probably not get injured.
But he and Ellenboss also advocate for not diving in at all. Ellenboss credits his rehab to getting him back on the golf course and back behind the wheel. Well, he gets what he says is his revenge on the lake this weekend as he heads back up north.
If the one person sees this and decides to go feet first, then I'd say it's a successful interview here. When you think of water patrols, especially here in West Michigan, you may think of the Coast Guard, but here in Kent County, the Sheriff's Office has a Marine unit which is responsible for patrolling all 83 lakes here in Kent County along with rivers. And now I was able to go on a boat here on Reed's Lake with the Marine unit as they told me how they enforce the rules for boaters and swimmers while still making sure everyone has a good time. The Kent County Sheriff's Office Marine Unit will be working diligently to make sure the county's rivers and 83 lakes are safe.
Our main goal is the safety of everybody on the water. A lot of education because we have a short season in Michigan, boater season, or water season.
Scott Holt is one of the officers patrolling Kent County waters with the Marine Unit. He says while they want boaters to have fun, they're also checking to make sure boats have proper MC numbers, amount of life jackets, and a throwable.
Things on the water tend to happen very quickly, very quickly. So if another boat hit you, we don't have seatbelts. None of us wear seatbelts on a boat. And so because of that, we could be thrown overboard. So if another boat hit you, we don't have seatbelts. None of us wear seatbelts on a boat. And so because of that, we could be thrown overboard. So we look for also a fire extinguisher. We recommend by law, if you have an enclosed gas tank like this boat does, you have to have a fire extinguisher. If the gas tank is sitting out and open, by law you don't have to. We recommend everybody has a fire extinguisher. Keep the fire extinguisher in the front of the boat. Keep it away from where the fire likely is, which is going to be a gas tank, electrical probably in the back, or the engine. Yes, I had an example. Actually, I had a fire on my boat, and beautiful day like this, and the engine and the muffler caught fire, and I'm so glad I had a fire extinguisher. But yes, and if it's too much fire, make sure you have your life jackets on and everybody get out of the boat.
Just like in a house.
Just like in a house. Save yourself, save everybody with you. Make sure you all have a life jacket. There should be enough on board for everybody.
Sergeant Scott Diedrich says they want people to enjoy themselves out on the water, but but to follow the safety precautions so an accident doesn't happen.
If you're bringing kids out on the water, make sure if they're under 6 by law, they have to have a life jacket on. But we have seen issues this year and years past where parents are putting their kids in child safety seats on the boat, thinking it might be safer, and that is absolutely the opposite effect. We don't want any kids strapped down into a car seat. Just make sure that child has a life jacket on.
If somebody falls out of the boat, pick a point, trees, a building, something, so you know where you are in case you have to call 911. Typically, we know all the lakes in Kent County. We know the deep areas, the shallow areas. If somebody said, I'm on the east side of the lake, we know that we're going to be down here. If it's by the channel, we know where the channel is. If there's a cove over here, which there is, we know. So we just need a general description because we can put in very quickly and get to that point. Our divers are top notch. We have several divers and they all know exactly what to do. We know what to do as far as what we're looking for, what to tell them, how to help them out, because we bring them out to the location to get in the water if they have to do a search for whatever reason. You catch people having a great time, they're being safe, they're trying to be safe. We have to have just cause. We don't just go up to anybody and say, show me this or do this or whatever. We have to have a reason. The first instinct for most people is they're going to be nervous. We try to put them at ease. How are you doing? The reason I'm talking to you now is because, and we obviously give them a reason. In many cases, they're fishing. They're out with their families, their kids. They're tubing. They're skiing. They're having a fun time. We don't want to spoil that in any way. We try to make good conversation with them. A lot of what we do is education on the water because we have such a short season here. And so we typically will tell them this is why we pulled you over, this is the situation. We do write citations. We try not to write too many citations because again, we want it to be a positive experience. We have great rapport with people, and we love being around the kids, and we get stickers to the kids, and they love that. We just want them safe. We want mom and dad to know the rules. We suggest having a designated driver on the boat that drinks, your pop, your tea, whatever, water. Somebody that can basically captain the boat and keep an eye on everybody designated driver. You get drunk or you can get inebriated much quicker on a boat than you would on the dock. People will tend to panic. Cold water, you get that response where you suck in air. If you have heart problems, if you have asthma problems, everything is just magnified. So we suggest if people are in a boat, they're drinking, throw in a life jacket. Somebody that I work for has said many times, we've never pulled a dead guy out of the water with a life jacket on.
That's really important because if you're out drinking on a boat and you only drive the boat a couple times a year, it's going to make that even more difficult and even more unsafe. So when you're out on the water, taking all the precautions that you can, but still enjoying it. Still enjoying yourself. Stats from the Operation Dry Water, they take them from the entire country. Alcohol, driving a boat while under the influence of alcohol or drugs is the leading cause of death in a boating accident.
Now there are plenty of lakes inland in Michigan, but here in West Michigan, we're also home to a great one. Now having a lake with a big body of water, it's going to come with its own set of safety tips. Which brings us to Lake Michigan. Now people may assume that Lake Michigan isn't as dangerous as a larger body of water such as an ocean, but Lake Michigan carries its own risks. You can still encounter riptides that send you miles offshore. We talked to some public safety officials who gave us some tips on how you can stay safe while entering Lake Michigan's waters.
The dangerous ferocity of Lake Michigan is something local emergency responders like Cal Kuning know well.
DNR, other police agencies, other fire departments, we're all training for these kind of emergencies, and we all help each other out.
Just this weekend, responders from Park Township Fire Department got called to a rescue for 2 people who were thrown from their craft.
About a mile south of the Holland Channel, the Holland Pier heads. Waves were about 6 to 8 feet.
2 turned to 3 after a nearby kayaker tried to assist them by allowing them to hang on.
But then also because of the large waves, the kayak also kind of overturned.
Park Township responding alongside others using what they call their personal watercraft, or PWC.
We have 2 personal watercrafts, each equipped with a life sled. So tonight we are practicing training on the personal watercraft, training with the life sled.
All 3 people survived the rescue. All 3, Kuning said, were wearing life jackets.
Having a life jacket on kept them above the water, kept them floating long enough for rescue personnel to get on scene.
The rescue underscoring what Kuning emphasized was the importance of practicing water safety.
With the large waves, could be possible rip currents depending where you are in the lake, with the way the winds and the waves are going. With no life jacket on, you could slip under the water, you could drown.
But even in calmer or smaller waters, he signaled, the importance is still there.
Let's say you're swimming for who knows how long, you get tired, things can start to happen. Having a jacket on keeps you floating, keeps you safe. You have to respect the lake, you have to respect any type of body of water. If you're a strong swimmer, weak swimmer, these help save lives, having them on.
As temperatures rise, thousands are on the lakeshore and cooling off in Lake Michigan. But as the Grand Haven Department of Public Safety and the Coast Guard warn, you shouldn't let your guard down while enjoying the beach.
It's like a big washing machine, just kind of going in all different directions, and that's what takes the energy out of people.
We recommend not attempting to rescue them by yourself. Otherwise, that could put you in harm's way as well.
Grand Haven Department of Public Safety Captain Lee Adams says lakeshore and rip currents added with the pier here in Grand Haven have the possibility to create dangerous swimming conditions not even the most trained swimmers can conquer.
And they'll be swimming out here and not feel like there's a rip current or anything, and before they know it, they're out past the swim buoys.
He says to know where you are using the area markers and use the life rings to not put yourself in danger.
If we can get a last known point and you can wait for the rescuers to get here, and that way we know where to go and where to concentrate our rescue.
BM3 Kimberly Walters with the U.S. Coast Guard says they'll come out to help with larger cases.
But we'll go out on some of the big cases. If you have a vessel in distress, we'll get it either over the radio, which is the National Heralding in Distress will be channel 16, channel 16. We'll also get notified by our sector or local dispatch as well.
While you could see the Coast Guard on patrol, it doesn't necessarily mean any water rescues are happening.
Just again to make sure everything's good, everything's safe, and to kind of show a Coast Guard presence as well to let people know, hey, we're here, making sure that you guys are safe.
Adams says they are now encouraging people to flip, float, follow in a water emergency out on the lake.
Flip, float, follow. So you flip over on your back and float. And let it follow the current out until it kind of like lets you go.
And to always call 911 in an emergency. All Grand Haven Department of Public Safety responders are trained in water rescue. The dangers of Lake Michigan and any body of water means an unfortunate rise in lost swimmers, water rescues, and recoveries in the summer.
While the waters of a lake, river, or beach can look calm or even fun to play in, that doesn't mean you can let water safety slip your mind.
The real tragedy here is that drowning is largely preventable.
Bob Pratt with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project not only tracks the number of drownings we see each year near the Great Lakes.
We've tracked since 2010, 1,362 fatal drownings.
But also advocates for water safety. He says every July we see a spike in unintentional drownings, and the data agrees. The CDC reports unintentional drownings spike every year during July, with 759 recorded deaths last year. And this past weekend,
all of these drownings are horrific.
Added to that growing list.
We had several drownings across in the Great Lakes. We had even more drownings inland.
He says drownings have become the #1 death for children ages 1 to 4 and can happen in a matter of seconds.
Drowning happens very quickly. Research shows that a drowning victim struggling at the surface of the water will only be at the surface for 20 seconds to 60 seconds. And then they'll submerge, and then they're essentially invisible.
Which is why, along with watching your kids near bodies of water, knowing safety tips can be the difference between life and death.
Nearly 90% of the drownings that we have could be easily prevented by things like wearing life jackets, good swimming lessons, things like barriers around pools and other waterways.
Because he says you can still enjoy the water surrounding us this summer, just in a safe way.
A beautiful afternoon on the lakeshore quickly took a dangerous turn Friday at Pierre Marquette Beach.
We heard some screaming towards the water.
That's Orlando Santiago. He was hanging out on the beach with his family when he says he jumped into action to help a young girl in the water.
I started running and I started swimming towards a couple of people out there really deep in the water, and there was a teenage girl that I helped carry to the back to the land.
While not confirmed by authorities, Santiago says it appears the two victims were a father and daughter.
I was very exhausted from swimming and running.
He watched as crews pulled the man out.
Actually very shallow, and then the fire department started doing CPR. The daughter was crying a lot.
He says while heartbreaking to watch, it was a team effort on the beach to help.
There was a lot of people helping, a lot of guys out there in the water, helping out as much as they could. There was other beachgoers that were consoling the rest of the family that was crying.
Across Michigan beaches, lifeguards on the sand are not the norm. But one group is hoping to make changes on land that can protect people out in the water. At South Haven Beach, one of West Michigan's many beaches without lifeguards on patrol, the topic of having lifeguards in the sand draws mixed opinions from beachgoers. For some, it would make them feel safer.
I would say get them. Can't be any harm.
For others, they see no need.
Early 20s, and they're blowing the whistle and they're trying to make people listen, and they don't.
Or they don't even notice.
She says, yeah. I can't even cycle with my daddy.
Dave Benjamin, executive director of the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, says having people on patrol on the beaches would prevent people from losing their lives in the lake.
Lifeguards are the greatest asset that any beach can have. They are trained eyes on the water. They are first responders. They react in the moment.
The city of South Haven is facing a few drowning death lawsuits, with an emphasis in the filings that the deaths could have been prevented if South Haven had lifeguards on duty. A statement Benjamin agrees with.
If you don't want drowning lawsuits, don't have drownings, have lifeguards.
Even if people are vigilant on the beach, he argues untrained rescuers could also become victims of the Great Lakes currents.
We don't recommend you go in the water to make a rescue, because would-be rescuers often become drowning victims.
Lynn Holtz from Sturgis agrees lifeguards would be good to help with the rough waters.
I still can't beat a riptide probably.
Yeah.
And I bring my grandkids and lots of young people here, so I think lifeguards would be great.
City of South Haven recently approved thousands of dollars to go toward the development of a lifeguard program. Water safety doesn't just extend to swimmers. Any aquatic activity comes with its own rules on the lake.
Things could have turned badly.
Deputies were right there, motored up to them, and the rest is history with a positive result.
After a pontoon boat hits a wave on Lake Michigan and knocks two people off. You're looking at that moment captured by security video on South Beach Pier in South Haven.
If you look at the video, two of the deputies was actually stationed right there.
Van Buren County Sheriff Daniel Abbott says Marine deputies were able to help the people quickly because they were right there watching boat traffic. He says his team is lucky enough to have extra staff that allows them to patrol a lot of waterways.
As opposed to putting them on the general road where they're really not needed, we actually put them on the waters, because we got a lot of inland lakes in Lake Michigan and Van Buren County. So fortunately, we can saturate these lakes and Lake Michigan with Marine deputies.
And it comes in handy. This is the third rescue his department has done this summer.
2 juveniles that we recently rescued that was taken on water on a dinghy getting washed out into the lake. And then we had a paddleboarder from New Jersey, the same type thing here recently, that was in distress, and our deputies happened to be there.
Which is why he and others are stressing how dangerous Lake Michigan can be, especially to those coming from out of town.
As everybody knows that's from this area, Lake Michigan can literally change in a matter of a minute. All the rescues we've had this year, everybody's been out of towners. It's a dangerous lake, and people just got to be aware of that.
The Coast Guard will help with water emergencies out in the lake, and last summer our chief meteorologist Samantha Jacks was able to get up close and personal with one of the Coast Guard ships.
The person who's driving the boat is in charge of the boat and your safety. They're charged with your safety. They're responsible to me and accountable to me for your safety. So please listen to them.
We've loaded up onto a much smaller ship that's going to take us on the water, where we then are going to climb into the spar itself to get that inside tour of the Coast Guard ship.
Watch your head. You can hold on to this coming down. I can hold your hand.
So we've all kind of hunkered down in what they call the survivor's compartment, because there was an alarm going off on our way to the spar itself. So while they check out what the alarm is all about, we will be down here taking shelter until it's safe to come back out. All right, we are back on track. The voyage has continued. For now, pretty smooth sailing. Apparently, this is just another day in the Coast Guard.
Good morning. Welcome to Coast Guard Cutter Spar. Happy to have you aboard.
First thing we ask for you, for everyone on board, is to stay on this main deck or above. Anything below is considered an engineering space. If you find yourself in a space that's loud or hot, it's probably a space you're not supposed to be into.
The bridge is open to traffic, but at some point we may need to call silence on the bridge for our navigation team.
So this is the bridge. All of our navigation occurs up here. So we have a team of navigators that keep us in good water, as well as monitor weather, monitor ship traffic, and then all operations comes from the bridge.
Oh, I was not pulling it. 2, 3, 4.
Back before women could even join the military, the Coast Guard had their own auxiliary service called the Spars. And so we kind of named our boat after that. And as you can see, I'm sure when you go down through on the deck below, you'll see all of these pictures of the first ever women who were a part of the Spars. And so it's really cool to be on this boat as a woman in the military myself. And this takes us back outside to the buoy deck.
Okay. Well, we are officially headed back into Grand Haven. Did you guys have a good time?
Thank you for watching this water safety special on 13 Plus. And while West Michigan is known for its beaches and Great Lakes, it's always important to practice safety on the water because it can become dangerous quickly. For more water safety tips, you can visit our website 13onyourside.com. I'm Cali Lichter, and thank you for watching this water safety special.